In the dazzling world where country music meets Hollywood glamour, love stories often play out like hit songs, full of passion, heartbreak, and a touch of mystery. And just when fans thought they had seen it all, a new twist has sent shockwaves through both industries. Rumors are swirling that Blake Shelton, the country superstar once hailed as one of the most devoted husbands in the spotlight, may have taken an unexpected step toward his past, and the woman he once called the love of his life, Miranda Lambert. For years, Blake and Gwen Stefani's relationship seemed untouchable, a union that blended heartland charm with California sparkle. They were the couple that proved love could heal even the deepest wounds. But now whispers suggest that the harmony between them may be facing its most emotional test yet. So what really happened behind the scenes? Why are insiders saying Gwen was left in tears? And what could Blake's rumored connection with Miranda mean for one of music's most adored couples? Let's take a closer look at how the past may be rewriting the present, and why fans everywhere are holding their breath. Before Gwen Stefani ever entered Blake Shelton's world, there was another woman who held his heart completely, Miranda Lambert. Their story began back in 2005, when the two performed together during CMT's 100 Greatest Duets concert. What started as just another stage appearance quickly turned into something electric. Those who were there still talk about the undeniable spark between them, the kind of chemistry that couldn't be faked, even under the bright studio lights. At the time, Blake was still married to his first wife, Kate Williams, but that performance changed everything. By 2006, his first marriage had ended, and soon after, Blake and Miranda's connection became public. Fans couldn't get enough of the pair. They were country music's golden couple, raw, real, and wildly talented. When they married in 2011, it felt like the perfect love story. Both were climbing the charts, winning awards, and representing everything fans loved about modern country: honesty, passion, and roots that felt genuine. But behind that perfect image, things weren't always easy. The demands of fame started to creep in. Long tours, separate schedules, and constant media pressure. Every glance, every lyric, every absence became fuel for speculation. Rumors of jealousy and trust issues started making headlines, though neither of them ever fully addressed it publicly. Still, they tried to keep their marriage strong, appearing together at award shows and supporting each other's careers. But sometimes even love that burns brightly can burn out. In 2015, after just 4 years of marriage, Blake and Miranda announced their divorce, a split that sent shockwaves through Nashville and beyond. It wasn't just a breakup. It was the end of an era for fans who had believed in their story. Their separation was quick and quiet, finalized within hours of the announcement. But the emotional aftermath lingered. To many, it felt like something unresolved, a chapter that ended too suddenly, leaving both hearts and headlines unsettled. And as the world processed the fall of country music's favorite couple, fate was already setting the stage for another story, one that would pull Blake into a whole new world of love, pain, and second chances. While Blake Shelton was quietly piecing his heart back together after his painful split from Miranda Lambert, another superstar on the same stage was enduring heartbreak of her own. Gwen Stefani, the pop icon known for her electric performances and larger-than-life personality, had just watched her 13-year marriage to Gavin Rossdale collapse amid public whispers of betrayal. Two worlds that couldn't have been more different, country and pop, Oklahoma and California, suddenly found common ground in heartbreak. Both Blake and Gwen returned to The Voice in 2015, carrying invisible wounds, each trying to move forward while still processing the wreckage of their pasts. What started as late-night conversations between co-workers soon turned into something deeper. They laughed together, confided in one another, and found comfort in realizing they weren't alone in their pain. At first, no one believed the rumors. The idea of Gwen Stefani, the edgy pop rocker, and Blake Shelton, the down-to-earth country boy, sounded like a headline cooked up by tabloids desperate for clicks. But the truth was undeniable. Their chemistry was real. By the end of 2015, Blake and Gwen went public, confirming what fans had already suspected. The shock quickly gave way to fascination. They were the unlikeliest of couples, and yet somehow they made perfect sense. Gwen often said that Blake helped her find light again when everything felt dark, calling him her healing soul. And Blake, who once admitted that Miranda's departure had left him lost, described Gwen as his saving grace. The two built a bond rooted not just in attraction, but in shared survival. They became each other's proof that heartbreak didn't have to be the end. It could be the beginning of something new. Over the years, fans watched their relationship blossom in real time. From joint Christmas specials to playful moments on The Voice, Blake and Gwen seemed unstoppable. In 2021, surrounded by family and close friends, they sealed their love with a private wedding on Blake's Oklahoma ranch, the same place where he once sought peace after his divorce. To the world, it looked like the ultimate redemption story. Two broken hearts finally healed by each other's love. But as every fairy tale knows, even the happiest endings can face unexpected echoes from the past. And soon, whispers from that past, the one Gwen thought was long gone, would return, louder than ever. Just when it seemed that Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani's love story had settled into its happily ever after, quiet whispers began rippling through the country music scene, whispers that hinted at something no one saw coming. Reports began circulating that Blake had reached out to his ex-wife, Miranda Lambert, once again. At first, it sounded too wild to believe. Blake and Miranda's relationship had been over for nearly a decade. Both had moved on, Blake with Gwen and Miranda with her husband, Brendan McLaughlin. But insiders close to the Nashville circle began suggesting that the two had recently reconnected. Not romantically, but through a series of conversations that blurred the lines between nostalgia and something deeper. According to several reports, Blake had reached out to Miranda under the guise of a professional discussion. Rumor has it that he wanted to explore a possible collaboration, a duet or project that could blend their voices again, reigniting the chemistry that once defined them as country's golden pair. To industry veterans, the idea made sense. A joint project between two legends would grab headlines and dominate the charts. But to those who knew the emotional history between them, it sounded like a dangerous mix of business and memory. Some insiders claim that the contact didn't stop there. Allegedly, Blake and Miranda exchanged a few personal messages. Nothing scandalous, but just enough to stir old emotions. They reminisced about the early days, their shared years on the road and the bond they once had. Others say Blake reached out during a difficult period in Miranda's career, offering encouragement and advice, a kind gesture that Gwen reportedly didn't take lightly. Still, every rumor came with a disclaimer. None of it confirmed, all of it speculative. But that didn't stop fans from talking. In Nashville, it said that word travels faster than sound, and soon the whispers turned into headlines. Blake Shelton reconnects with Miranda Lambert, Gwen Stefani reportedly in tears. For many, it was shocking, not because they believed Blake was unfaithful, but because it reopened a chapter everyone thought was permanently closed. Gwen had always known about Blake's deep history with Miranda, but hearing that he might be reaching out again hit her in a way she hadn't expected. Because when it comes to love, sometimes it's not about what happened, it's about what could happen, and for Gwen, that possibility was enough to bring back emotions she thought she had buried for good. For Gwen Stefani, hearing that Blake Shelton may have reached out to Miranda Lambert felt like a storm she never saw coming. After years of building a life based on trust and healing, the mere suggestion that Blake was in contact with his ex stirred emotions she thought were long behind her. According to those close to her, Gwen was blindsided, left in tears after discovering the rumors that Blake and Miranda had reconnected. It wasn't that Gwen didn't trust Blake. Their love story had weathered countless rumors before. But this one cut differently, because it wasn't about tabloids inventing drama. It was about Miranda, the one woman whose presence had always lingered like a ghost in the corners of their relationship. Gwen had once said that she admired the way Blake loved deeply. But part of that love came with a history, and Miranda was a major part of that past. Insiders claim that Gwen's reaction wasn't fueled by anger, but by hurt. She reportedly confided in friends that she felt shaken and emotionally exhausted. For her, it wasn't about a fear of betrayal. It was the painful reminder that even in the happiest marriages, the past never fully disappears. One close source reportedly shared, "Gwen loves Blake deeply, but she's human. She knows Miranda was his great love before her. And hearing that he's been reaching out brought all those insecurities rushing back." Another insider described Gwen as feeling tears, shock and confusion, wondering if there was any part of Blake's heart still tied to Miranda through memory alone. The thought of Blake and Miranda exchanging even friendly messages was enough to reopen old wounds. After all, Gwen knew what it felt like to lose trust once before. Her marriage to Gavin Rossdale had ended after betrayal. So any hint of secrecy now felt too close to history repeating itself, and yet Gwen didn't lash out publicly. She stayed quiet, choosing grace over confrontation, at least for now. But fans noticed subtle changes: cryptic posts, quieter appearances, and a noticeable distance between her and Blake during recent public events. Whether coincidence or emotion, it didn't go unnoticed. Behind the scenes, friends say Blake tried to reassure her that there was nothing to worry about, that any contact with Miranda was innocent. But in matters of the heart, reassurance doesn't always erase doubt. For Gwen, the question wasn't just about whether Blake had reached out, it was about why he felt the need to. Because sometimes, the scariest part of love isn't losing it. It's realizing that the past can still find a way to knock on the door. And as the whispers grew louder, fans around the world began taking sides, turning one couple's private struggle into a very public conversation. When word spread that Blake Shelton may have reconnected with Miranda Lambert, fans didn't just react, they erupted. What started as quiet speculation quickly transformed into a full-blown social media storm, dividing the internet into passionate camps. Hashtags trended across platforms as people chose sides, dissected clues and debated what really happened behind closed doors. Team Gwen was the loudest at first. Supporters flooded comment sections with sympathy and outrage, insisting that Gwen Stefani deserved peace after everything she'd been through. They reminded the world how she stood by Blake through his highs and lows, how she trusted him when gossip tried to tear them apart before. To them, Blake's rumored messages, even if innocent, crossed an emotional boundary. One viral post summed up the sentiment perfectly. Blake shouldn't be texting his ex, period. Respect Gwen. But Team Miranda had its own take. Many fans argued that enough time had passed, that Blake and Miranda's divorce was nearly a decade ago, and they were both adults capable of being civil. To them, professional collaboration or friendly encouragement didn't automatically mean rekindled romance. A common refrain appeared among their defenders: people change. Not every conversation is a love story. Then came the skeptics, the fans who believed the entire situation was nothing more than tabloid smoke. They pointed out that Blake and Gwen's relationship has always been a target for fabricated drama, especially whenever one of them releases new music or appears on television. These fans doubted any secret messages even happened, calling it media hype designed to stir chaos and clicks. Across platforms, the debates turned personal. Some accused Miranda of trying to stay relevant through controversy, while others accused Gwen of overreacting. A few even suggested that Blake's silence, his refusal to address the situation, was what kept the tension alive. Still, beyond the noise, one truth was clear. People were emotionally invested. Fans didn't just see celebrities. They saw reflections of their own heartbreak, trust issues, and insecurities. That's why this story hit so hard. It wasn't just about fame or gossip. It was about the fragile balance of love and loyalty that everyone understands. And as the online arguments continued to heat up, one question began to echo through every comment section: if the past never really disappears, can a love story truly move forward? But the deeper truth wasn't about teams or sides. It was about the emotional triangle forming beneath the surface, one that even fame couldn't protect them from, because behind every rumor lies a feeling, and behind every feeling a choice. And Blake, Gwen, and Miranda were standing right in the middle of it. Beneath the headlines, hashtags, and endless online debates lies something much deeper, a quiet emotional triangle that no one can fully escape. For Gwen Stefani, Miranda Lambert isn't just Blake Shelton's ex-wife. She's a shadow from the past, a reminder of a love that once defined him. And for Blake, that past, no matter how far away it feels, is still a part of his story. Love, after all, doesn't vanish when the papers are signed or when the cameras stop rolling. It lingers, in songs, in memories, and in the small moments that can't be rewritten. Blake and Miranda shared years of music, laughter, heartbreak, and fame together. Their story was written into the heart of country music itself, and even though their marriage ended, the echoes of that connection never fully faded. For Gwen, that's the hardest part. She knows Blake's love for her is real. Their bond has always been strong, even under scrutiny, but love can still be haunted by history. She said before that she's grateful for the journey, but insiders claim that deep down, she's always been aware that Blake's past with Miranda left marks that never completely healed. Meanwhile, Miranda's presence looms in subtle ways. Every time one of her old duets with Blake resurfaces online, fans flood comment sections with nostalgia. Every old interview clip or throwback photo sparks new discussions. It's as if the past keeps knocking. Not to come back, but to remind everyone it once existed. For Blake, this creates an impossible balancing act. He's built a future with Gwen, a life grounded in honesty and love, yet his history with Miranda is a chapter he can't erase. Reports claim he's tried to reassure Gwen that his contact with Miranda was innocent, purely professional. But even good intentions can lead to bad interpretations, especially when emotions run deep. This is where the triangle becomes emotional rather than romantic. It's not about who loves who now. It's about what remains unspoken. Gwen fears the ghost of a love that once was. Miranda represents a part of Blake's life he can't fully close, and Blake stands in the middle, trying to prove that his present means more than his past. And perhaps that's the true tension. Not betrayal, not rekindled romance, but the simple truth that some histories never stop echoing. Love may move on, but memory lingers, weaving itself into the quiet spaces between trust and doubt. As this emotional storm brews, one thing becomes clear. Blake's silence isn't just avoidance, it's part of the story. Because in situations like this, what isn't said often speaks the loudest, and that silence would soon draw even more attention than the rumors themselves. As the whispers turned into a storm, Blake Shelton did something few celebrities dare to do. He stayed silent. No tweets, no interviews, no official statements. Just silence. And in the world of modern fame, where everyone rushes to defend themselves online, that silence spoke volumes. At first, fans thought he was simply ignoring the noise, choosing peace over drama. But as the days went on, the quiet became deafening. Comment sections exploded with speculation. Why isn't he saying anything? Is he hiding something? Maybe Gwen made him stay quiet. Each unanswered question only added more fuel to the fire. Industry insiders suggested Blake's team was divided. Some urged him to issue a statement to clear the air before the rumors spiraled further. Others reportedly told him to wait it out, that reacting too soon might make things worse. After all, Blake had built a career on authenticity, on being the laid-back country guy who didn't play by Hollywood's rules. Jumping into the drama too quickly could have shattered that image. Meanwhile, Gwen Stefani's fans were becoming increasingly vocal. Social media lit up with messages of support for her, and not all of them were kind to Blake. Some fans accused him of disrespecting her, others claimed Gwen looked hurt in recent appearances. Whether those assumptions were fair or not didn't matter. Perception had already started shaping the narrative. Behind closed doors, things reportedly grew tense. Gwen was said to be frustrated with Blake's refusal to speak out, while Blake believed that feeding into rumors would only make them grow. It was a standoff between emotion and strategy, heart versus headline. And through it all, Miranda Lambert remained silent too. No interviews, no cryptic posts, nothing. That double silence, from both Blake and Miranda, only made the situation more mysterious. It was as if both were caught between wanting to move on and knowing that saying anything might reopen old wounds. For the fans, the lack of answers became its own kind of story. Online forums started piecing together clues, dissecting body language, analyzing old lyrics, even comparing timelines. It was wild, and for Blake it must have felt like living inside a rumor that refused to die. But behind that calm exterior, those close to him claimed he was deeply conflicted. Should he speak up to protect his marriage and reputation, or keep quiet to avoid dragging Gwen and Miranda into a public spectacle? Either way, the longer he stayed silent, the more control he lost over the story. And then, just when everyone thought he'd never respond, subtle changes began to appear. A cryptic social media post, A quiet lyric in a new song. A look exchanged on stage that fans swore said everything. Was Blake finally trying to tell his side of the story without words? Or was it just another layer of mystery in a saga that refused to fade? Either way, what came next would be the moment that forced him to face the truth, publicly and emotionally. Every love story faces its test, and for Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani, this may be the biggest one yet. The swirling rumors, the public scrutiny, and the silence that followed have all built to a moment that neither of them can ignore. According to insiders, the tension finally reached a breaking point behind closed doors. Gwen, heartbroken and overwhelmed, reportedly confronted Blake about his communication with Miranda Lambert. It wasn't a screaming match or a tabloid-style explosion, it was quieter, sadder. Gwen allegedly asked one question that cut through all the noise. Why her? Those close to the couple say Blake didn't deny reaching out, but insisted his intentions were innocent. He wanted closure, understanding, and maybe a way to reconcile his past with his present. But for Gwen, that explanation wasn't enough. For her, the issue wasn't just what Blake did. It was what it represented. The past he once promised to leave behind suddenly felt too close for comfort. The couple reportedly took some time apart, a cooling-off period meant to bring clarity. Gwen turned to her music, channeling her pain into songwriting once again. Friends say she found herself writing lyrics that echoed her early heartbreak anthems, songs about trust, about feeling replaced, about fighting to be enough. Meanwhile, Blake threw himself into work on his ranch, spending long, quiet days away from the spotlight. Yet those who know them best believe there's still hope. Blake and Gwen have weathered storms before, from public skepticism to personal struggles, and always found their way back to each other. This moment, painful as it is, could either break them apart or make their love stronger than ever. Miranda Lambert, for her part, continues to stay out of the spotlight regarding the matter. She's focused on her music, her husband, and her own peace. Though her name remains tied to a story she may not want to revisit, the question now lingers in the air like the final note of a country ballad. Can Blake and Gwen move forward without the ghosts of the past haunting them? Fans remain divided. Some believe this chapter will end in forgiveness and a renewed bond, while others fear it marks the beginning of the end. One thing's for certain, in the unpredictable world of love and fame, no story ever truly ends. It just changes its tune. And as the spotlight fades and the music slows, Blake Shelton, Gwen Stefani, and Miranda Lambert remain bound, not by romance but by history, heartbreak, and the unshakable truth that some connections never truly disappear. In the glittering world of fame, where every smile hides a story and every headline masks a heartbeat, the saga of Blake Shelton, Gwen Stefani, and Miranda Lambert reminds us of one timeless truth. Love is never simple. It's easy to believe in fairy tales, in the perfect couple, the happy ending, the picture-perfect wedding, but behind every stage light, every love song, and every red carpet moment, there are battles no camera ever captures. Blake Shelton may have built a life with Gwen Stefani, but the echoes of his past with Miranda Lambert still linger like an unfinished song. For Gwen, it's a test of trust and resilience, a painful reminder that even strong love can feel fragile when old wounds reopen. For Miranda, it's a return to headlines she never asked for. Her name once again tied to a story she thought she had left behind. And yet, maybe that's the irony of it all. Sometimes love stories don't end. They just change form. The people we once loved never truly disappear. They live on in our memories, our regrets, and our music. As of now, Blake and Gwen remain silent, two stars caught between what was, what is, and what might still be. The world waits, watching, wondering if this is the moment their love falters, or proves unbreakable once again. Because in the end, the most haunting love stories aren't the ones that end in goodbye. They're the ones that make us ask what if.